And good afternoon to another edition of the
Turn that off.
Celebrity Lawyer Show. Um, and I welcome our guest today, Mr. Kenneth O'Keefe, who is a very established human rights activist. How are you doing, Kenneth? Okay.
Oh, I'm blessed. I'm definitely blessed.
Right.
But of course, very aware of the darkness of this world. So you can only be so happy when you've got an active genocide going on.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think a lot of people, have not actually been celebrating certain festivals, not been celebrating their birthdays, as a direct consequence of what they've been seeing happening in Gaza, and it's certainly a valid point. What we'll do, we'll start with just some background information about yourself. Just tell us about your life. Where were you like born and raised, and how was your schooling and that sort of period?
Well, I was born in the summer of love, 1969, July 21st, on the day of the fake moon landing. Yes, that's
I was going to
exactly what
mention,
I said.
yeah, moon landing. Yeah.
Coincidentally, there was also a ritual, a ceremony going on called the cremation of care, which is a little ceremony all the rich males of not only U.S. politics but global politics.
Right,
Ronald Reagan and Richard Nixon were there at Bohemian Grove, which was about 65 miles away, where
right.
they do things like human sacrifice. But
Mm,
of course, that's crazy. Of course, that wouldn't happen. So
mm,
it's one thing I've learned over the years. God works in mysterious ways, and there's so many places and events in my life that just uncanny that I've
mm.
been. But I grew up in San Diego. I was a surfer. I love the sea.
Right.
Like every other SoCal boy, you do what you do, get into
Yes.
mischief, chasing girls.
Right.
That's just the Western
Sure.
SoCal.
Sure.
I joined the Marine Corps because I watched a movie, Full Metal Jacket, by my favorite director of all time,
Right.
Stanley Kubrick,
Kubrick.
a
Yeah.
Jew who
Yeah.
I love.
Yeah.
And that movie, like on the spot, I was like, yeah, that's what I need.
Right.
Joined the Marine Corps. I was an infantryman, carried a machine gun, went off to a war, earned my combat action ribbon, and I got basically I got screwed over for not following orders. An unlawful order was given. I refused it. I owned up to it, and I
Right.
went from being the best Marine to the most hated Marine. And I had 2 more years.
Yeah.
I mean, you're literal property of the military when you enlist. You're
Mm.
literally signing away your freedom and your life, and they can put
Yes.
you in whatever situation they want.
Mm.
So by the time I got out of the Marine Corps at 22 years old, it was really the greatest blessing of my life because I realized I was wrong about the Marine Corps and I was willing to kill or be killed for my
Mm.
nation. And when
Mm.
you have such a devotion to something that you're willing to lay down your life, and then you find out that thing is a lie,
Mm.
it snapped me out of all of the indoctrination and mind control. America's
Right.
the greatest, rah, rah.
Mm.
Once I realized the Marine Corps wasn't what I thought it was, my mind was now an open vessel. It allowed me to receive information that most wouldn't be able to because the mind control indoctrination is so deep. So by the time I got out in my 20s, I read voraciously.
Mm.
And I basically learned that everything we've been taught is a
Yes.
lie,
Right.
literally. So
Mm.
I've been a dive instructor, a boat captain. I've lived in Hawaii. I made a film called The United States of Hypocrisy about the genocide against the Kanaka Maoli, the Hawaiians, 25 years ago. So
Yes.
genocide is a word that I've known for a long time. I can quote it
Mm.
here as I did on
Mm.
James Whale. Genocide, to
Mm.
destroy in whole or part a national, ethnic, or religious group.
Sure. Can I just quickly ask you, uh, when all this sort of dawned on you about how wrong it was that you were you and your fellow Marines were being sent to conflicts on the other side of the world, as you probably recall, Muhammad Ali in fact refused the draft, and at that time people were calling him draft dodger, and he's a traitor and all that. And do you not think he was well in advance of his time, because what he said and did was actually something actually which at the time probably a lot of people didn't realize the importance of it. But I'm sure because you went through the same process in the sense that you went through the foreign war, and then you saw for yourself that actually what am I doing here? So did that resonate with you at all? The fact that
Oh, big time, actually. I've been compared to Malcolm X, and make no mistake, it was Malcolm X who
Mm.
was mentoring Muhammad Ali.
Yes,
and it was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad who assigned Malcolm X, his number one minister, the task. So we can't separate Malcolm X's influence on Muhammad Ali.
Yes.
And Sheikh Imam Hussein, who's a dear friend of mine, I may be speaking with him again in London very soon. He's called me the new Malcolm X, which is probably the greatest compliment I've ever had, because I have a deep love and respect for Malcolm, or Malik al-Shabazz, as he was known before they killed him, who very famously said, just before they killed him, after firebombing his home twice and nearly killing his children, as they're doing in Gaza today, when he sat at the table on his Hajj and drank from the same cup, ate from the same plate from a man who would be called white in America, but all he saw was a brother. He ended up dead real quick. So Malcolm was able to unite people. Muhammad Ali is not the greatest because of his skills, although he was a master. And his ability to talk and get in your head was absolutely beautiful. And the moment where, I forget, was it Norton? It was somebody else, Ernie Shavers, I think, who refused to call him Muhammad Ali. He kept calling him Cassius Clay.
Ernie Terrell.
Was it Ernie Shavers?
Ernie Terrell.
There we go. And he's standing up. What's my name? What's my name? And so, man, I've always had that fighting spirit myself. So, of course, I love a warrior. I really respect. Even the one on the other side, I have respect for. It's these pencil pushers who send us cannon fodder off to war that I have a problem with.
Great. And so now you're at the stage where you sort of come back and come out of the Marines, and so where do you see your future lying there at that particular point?
Well, I think like a lot of people, I was trying to find myself, trying to figure out. I wanted to make money like everybody else, but I saw in real estate how the quickest way to make money was very predatory, foreclosures or distress sales. And I remember when I was reading about how to make money in real estate, it got to a point where I was reading all this stuff and it didn't really sit well with me. And then we got to an exercise of writing your priorities. Now, this is where most people would write, like, to make $1 million within 5 years. $1 million was a lot back then. We're so much now with inflation. Oh, gee, what does that tie into? And I remember the first thing on my list of priorities was peace of mind. And I think I give that to my mother and to God and first and foremost. But she taught me values. She taught me values, and those values. She didn't teach me my politics. I saw what she did. She was giving and loving, and me being her only son. Just amazing, unconditional love. God bless you, Mom. And those values are what I took with me. So the idea that I could make a bunch of money if I screw this person over or send that family out on the street, no, I don't want it. I'd rather live in the gutter than do that. Which is part of the reason why I haven't made more money in my life. I haven't been focused on the money-making aspect. But I have no regrets at all. I'm a rich man in every real way. But eventually I became a dive instructor and a boat captain because my first love was the sea. I had a beautiful business that was rated #1 in the entire state of Hawaii, even though the diving on our island was the worst. That company's name was Deep Ecology. I became a vegetarian because I don't want to harm animals either. 30 years ago, before anybody knew what it was, I was a vegan. I rescued 46 green sea turtles from fishing line. I did ghost net recoveries, created a marine sanctuary. But then 9/11 happened. And I was already tangling with the cops on constitutional oath matters in the courts. Plus, I had done that film, The United States of Hypocrisy. So I was on their radar. When 9/11 happened, I was like, whoa. I got to get out of Dodge. So I left my paradise life in Hawaii, living on the beach, making money, doing what I love, 2 boats, my own boss. And I sought political asylum. And soon after that, it was the Human Shield Action to Iraq, which is the first hard talk interview I did 21 years ago. So it really, I have seen since my mid-20s that we were capable of destroying this planet. And it's blown me away for a long time that this isn't preoccupying the mind of at least a lot of us, if we made this a top priority, or for instance, $34 billion a year in child sex slavery. If we all decided like this is our priority, instead of getting behind these cookie cutboard politician prostitutes who lie to us every election cycle, we've got children going missing in epidemic proportions. The prostituted media don't talk about that. We've got child sex slavery going on. We've got the Jewish state of Israel, which has no extraditions with everybody, where pedophiles run to be protected. This is not anti-Semitic. This is fact.
Yeah.
Absolute fact.
That's right. And we have to separate, obviously, we have to separate Jewish people from the Jewish state. The Jewish state is a group of people that can always change, because of democratic processes, but it's specifically their policies and their actions that we're talking about. Yeah.
Well, it is. And it's the fact that I'm Palestinian. I was awarded Palestinian citizenship by the former prime minister, now in the grave with his children, Ismail Haniyeh. This man was trying to negotiate some sort of peaceful remedy, at least a temporary ceasefire, release of Israeli hostages. But we go to the Hannibal Directive. The Israelis are more than happy to kill their own people, and they will sacrifice the world in what's known as the Samson option. I again remind people, Google it if you don't know what it is. This is an existential threat to the entire world. A nuclear-armed Israel that is housing pedophiles, that is the head of the organ trafficking, blood diamonds, sex slavery, you name it, all of that is headquartered in Rothschilds-controlled Israel. The thing that is a big problem for me is that the Palestinians, who have a lawful right of return, which is not disputable, cannot return.
Yeah.
But any Jew, they don't really like the Ethiopian Jews, the original ones, but any Jew from Europe, from America, from all over can return to Israel. But the Palestinian, no, that's a problem for me.
Yes.
That's a problem for me. And at the end of the day, what we see, we've heard Bishop Desmond Tutu, we've heard Nelson Mandela when he was alive, that the apartheid that they were experiencing was mild in comparison to what the Palestinians face. And it really has taken this massive sacrifice of the Palestinians in this real-time genocide for the world to finally either, listen, if you're going to continue to say Israel has a right to defend itself, you are either a special kind of stupid or bought and paid for. That is the sacrifice that the Palestinians have made, and God bless them. And let me remind everybody, they are the descendants of Jesus of Nazareth, by the way.
Yes. 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 That's right. I mean, you mentioned very, aptly there that you saw in life you wanted to basically fight for justice, fight for the right cause, and you also recognize that sometimes that doesn't always get you financial remuneration. So how did you get around that?
Quite the opposite. They don't reward. Can you imagine a world where we actually honored humanity, wisdom, compassion, courage? No. What do we reward? Narcissism, greed, money, sexual debauchery. I mean, literally, let's look at the long list of politicians. Let's look at Jeffrey Epstein, who's nothing but the tip of an iceberg. Let's look at the Lolita Express. Let's look at all of these leaders who were literally raping children, because if you have a videotape of a political leader having sex with a child, is there any chance they're going to speak about the inner workings of the corruption of politics? No.
Yes.
It makes sense, but you'd have to be a psychopath to appreciate why and how this system is being allowed to continue.
Yeah.
For me, in a word, unacceptable. Unacceptable is unacceptable. I don't know at what point people have decided to accept the unacceptable, but I refuse.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of that's got to do with the power that these people wield, and the fact that they are in positions of great, influence. And that's unfortunately a hard and a hard real sort of fact of life in the current world. People like yourself, have good intentions, want justice. It's very difficult for us to be heard because there are things in place that will sort of muffle us or just prevent us from getting to a certain point. Well, I have to say that the thing that perhaps most people didn't realize would in fact turn things around or assist in turning things around has been TikTok. Because TikTok has single-handedly probably changed the mindset of a lot of Americans. And I see it all the time because a lot of ordinary Americans are saying, look, what's going on here? We weren't aware of all this. This is the first time we're seeing it, direct.
And it's the youth. It's the youth. It's us old folks who are too stupid or too entrenched in whatever comfortable, job we have or whatever. Look, it's career suicide. Yeah. If you speak the truth about the Jewish state of Israel and what's really going on within the corruption, that's like career suicide, which is part of the reason why, like as a Marine, I've lived in holes in the ground. I've been in combat. I've gone over a month without a shower, so dirty that that my hair was no longer hair. It was like a rock.
Mm.
You need to be willing to live in the gutter and
Yes.
accept a lot of discomfort if you're really going to be at the head. That's why I admire people like Malcolm X,
Yes.
and many other great
Yes.
warriors.
Yes,
it
that's
takes
right.
a lot of courage
Yeah.
and a lot of sacrifice.
Absolutely, and we have our own George Galloway in this country, who's always fought for Palestine and raised his voice, and people like that, always get a lot of flack and a lot of opposition. Yeah.
When you
So
speak truth to power, don't expect no favor. This world does not reward those of most nobility and of greatest value. It rewards the opposite. And we need, the world is upside down. We literally need to flip the world right side up.
yes, absolutely. We're just going to go for a quick break. We're going to come back, and we're going to have our second guest join us as well. Stay with us. Thank you.
Thinking about selling or letting your home? With Maxwell Estates, you don't need to look any further. Well established with over 15 years of experience, Maxwell Estates are specialists in residential sales and lettings. We manage over 200 properties in and around Northwest London, keeping our landlords and tenants updated with all the latest laws and legislations. Based in Edgware, our experienced specialist negotiators always ensure we maximize the full potential of your property. Call us now on 0208 952 0808 for a free no obligation quotation, or visit our website www.maxwellestates.co.uk for further information. Maxwell Estates, the name you can trust.
आप यूके में ताज़ा शिफ्ट हुए हैं तो अब आप एक ऐसे बैंक का अकाउंट खोल सकते हैं जो आपकी बैनुल-अक़वामी ज़रूरियात का ख्याल रखे। HSBC यूके इस ज़िम्न में मदद के लिए हाथ बढ़ा रहा है। यूं आप अपने रोजमर्रा के अहम कामों, बिल्स की अदायगी, रेंट पर प्रॉपर्टी का हसूल, सेल फोन की खरीदारी करना और हालात के मुवाफिक खुद को ढालना। आज ही HSBC बैंक अकाउंट तलाश करके शुरू कीजिए। HSBC बैंक यूके, मवाक़े की दुनिया खोलना। उम्र 18 साल या जायद हो और अहलियत का मयार लागू हो। HSBC यूके में आपको करंट अकाउंट स्विच गारंटी की हमायत हासिल है।
तकरीबन 60 मिलियन प्राइमरी स्कूल जाने वाले बच्चे इस वक्त स्कूल में दाखिल नहीं हैं। मयारी तालीम की फराहमी से पसमानदा बच्चों को गुर्बत के मुसलसल चक्कर से बचने का मुसावी मौका मिल सकता है। इस रमजान आइए आपके ताउन से इस बात को यकीनी बनाएं कि हर बच्चे को मयारी तालीम हासिल करने का मौका मिलेगा। मिनहाज वेलफेयर फाउंडेशन के जरिए बच्चे की तालीम को स्पॉन्सर करें। बस हमारे मकामी दफ्तर 12 कार रोड, नेल्सन, BB9 7JS पर तशरीफ लाएं। हमें 01282 723 455 पर कॉल करें या हमारी वेबसाइट www.minhajwelfare.org पर देखें। ताज़ा तरीन वीडियोस और अपडेट्स के लिए फेसबुक, इंस्टाग्राम और ट्विटर पर जुड़े रहें।
Nikah, talaq, counseling on matrimonial disputes, Islamic wills, Islamic law of inheritance, or an Islamic verdict on any other issue. The Muslim Sharia Council is at your service. We provide official certification, and our experienced and highly qualified imams are available to provide you with guidance when needed. MQI London is based at 292 to 296 Romford Road, Forest Gate. We are open from Monday to Friday 2 to 4 p.m. or alternatively call us now on 0208 257 1786.
Minhaj Sisters UK are proud to host their biannual retreat Al Tazkiyah 2024 from the 15th of November to the 17th of November. This year, the retreat will take place in Yarnfield Training and Conference Centre at Stoke-on-Trent. We are pleased to announce that we will be joined by Dr. Ghazala Hassan Qadri, President of Minhaj Women League UK, who will be our special guest for 3 days. Join us for an inspirational and fun-packed weekend. To find out more, please visit our website www.altazkiyah.com.
Moving to the UK can be rather overwhelming, but moving your money doesn't have to be. With HSBC Global Money, you can convert, send, or spend multiple currencies around the world whenever you want with no HSBC fees. So you'll be right as rain, as they say in the UK. Search HSBC Global Money, HSBC UK, opening up a world of opportunity. Available to HSBC UK customers with an eligible current account and the mobile banking app. Non-HSBC fees may apply.
Revive FM
94.0 on the radio,
on your mobile,
and online.
मकाम
about the injustice in the world and how it's so difficult to try and do something to redress human rights abuses, illegal wars, and Kenneth quite eloquently described how in his life he's always tried to make a difference. That's great. Now we're also joined by our second guest, Shyam Batra.
Mr. Batra, yes,
Yeah.
I'm back.
How you doing? How you
I'm
doing?
good, thanks.
Okay.
Less than traffic congestions and stuff. No wonder he's charging his charges, isn't he?
Yeah.
Useless charge,
Yeah.
etc. Anyway, let's move on.
All right, sure. Okay, good to have you back.
Thank you.
Good to have you back. And in terms of what your what you've been busy with recently, is there anything special you'd like to mention?
Well, yeah, I mean, as we're discussing human rights,
Yeah.
you know that I'm now the international human rights vice president of 54 countries in Africa.
Yes.
So we're going to kind of start there, but we're going to start bringing it into the UK. Once we make a start here, then we can move into Europe and other places.
Right.
But somebody needs to do something, because you know yourself, and you can, that there is no transparency in anything the higher echelon governments do, including ours. Ours is the worst. You know, they put it into your face when they bought the vaccines and everything else, and the masks. They all sat at the airports while they pocketed the money, and no one could spend it. But now these things have got to change, because it's the public, it's everybody out here that has to come behind somebody and say, right, enough is enough. We've done what we've done. I mean, every single day there are hundreds of atrocities going on, maybe thousands in the world.
Yeah.
Who is looking after this?
That's right. And well, there's been talk of the UK coming out of the European Convention on Human Rights and the human rights laws.
They don't actually belong there now, because the main crux, the reason they were in there was because of Europe. As usual, the UK is like a butterfly, or fly from one flower to the other until the time suits for it to just go. But when they do things like this, there is no substance. I mean, you take Brexit, we are left with an empty egg. All the ingredients are gone, right? And why? Because a couple of guys thought it was a great idea to push this across on a big bus and not let the public know the real reasons and the problems that lie ahead.
Yes.
You know, you build a house with no stairs, no steps, no windows. You just got a shell. And that's what we had.
That's right. Yes, that's right. Well, I mean, when I say European Convention, obviously that led to the Human Rights Act here in '98, and I think there's talk that
I think the Geneva Convention on the Human Rights needs to be overhauled.
Yeah.
It's more and more children are missing every day, and nobody's doing anything about it. Women are being killed. Christians are being killed. We don't even hear about them being killed, and there's many. But where is our justice? I mean, we are human beings here. We all have a right. For example, our right is the freedom of speech. Why do we have Speaker's Corner? Soon, I can tell you that they will close down Speaker's Corner and say, no, you can't speak about Israel, you can't speak about Palestine, you can't do this, you can't do that. You do that, we're going to put you in prison.
Well, I mean, that's a very relevant point. I'm sure, Ken, you've probably had experience of people wanting to silence you when you were speaking in public events.
Yeah, it hasn't worked too well. Whatever, man. I don't like bullies. That's sort of, when I was a kid, if it wasn't even if somebody tried to bully me, because other kids realized quick, like, no, I'm not the one that you really want to mess with. But if you do, hey, man, meet you at the park after school. Let's go. I don't like bullies. And the way the idea, free speech, it's really stunning. I mean, it's not just recently. I mean, we've had a semblance of free speech, but it's never actually been free. You're free to speak ignorant thoughts and repeat themes that are mind-controlled, indoctrination, social engineering
Yes.
agendas at play.
Yes.
But the moment you actually start to speak effective truth to power, which I know I've been doing it a long time, we're a threat. You know, the only reason why I'm here, quite frankly, and especially with all the people and all the things we're facing, is divine. I mean, you know, in theory, let's put it this way: if I was my enemies, take care of that one right there, man. He's a problem right there. He ain't gonna back down. The types of things that we have to endure in free speech, it goes beyond ourselves too. Like Ismail Hania, with 3 of his sons murdered earlier this year, along with 4 of his grandchildren and over 60 family members. Look at that. Like, they don't even have the courage. You're a classic bully. Because you can't scare me, you're going to come after others and people in my family or things like this. This is, if more of us contributed, especially men, where are the men? If us men did what we were supposed to do, our duty, our children wouldn't be violated as they are, going missing as they are. We should be ashamed of ourselves. And getting back to TikTok and social media, it's the young ones telling us old idiots. Whatever you believe, we're not buying that. Really, they're shaming us. TikTok and Instagram and social media. And where's the attack coming from now? They're blaming it all on social media, aren't they? Because they control the media, the British Propaganda Corporation and all of them. They have controlled it forever. Who owns all that stuff? Oh, that would be anti-Semitic, wouldn't it? Yeah.
I mean, look, listen. Why would you send your son to war? Can you explain? Why would you do that? If you're an adult, okay, they're saying that, well, Sunak, was it last, saying conscription now will be a mandatory thing. Like, okay, Russia's been doing it for a long time. A lot of the states in Europe have been having their kids get trained and go into war. But I don't want to see my son come back, no come back, or no legs, no nothing. Why do we need to do all this? First of all, we don't need wars.
That's the thing.
Secondly, where does the Human Rights Charter come in to this? I mean, I'm not being rude, and forgive me, but what some of the Western world is doing right now, killing people just like that, flick of a finger. The biggest bully is the gun. It's that little bullet. They don't have any balls to come and fight properly man to man. We've been in boxing. We know about boxing, right? But
I would say this,
I'm very disappointed as the way we're moving in. Like, we're 2024 now. We're moving fast. AI is around the corner. It's going to be dictating everything you do in a business. Okay, I mean, I thought I read on one of these social medias that Amazon had put 78,000 robots in their warehouses, and people outside are crying because they've lost their jobs.
Same thing with Tesla. Tesla's having a human-free factories, I believe.
I mean, this is all.
It's an important subject, but war is something very close to my heart. So if I may just address that, there's only one winner in war. And make no mistake about it, they make out like bandits.
Of course,
they love it.
The governments,
the bankers, no,
and the governments.
The governments work for the banksters. This is
banksters. That's a good
I
name.
have too much empirical evidence. I'll debate anybody on the subject.
Like
the bottom line is that the bankers rule the earth. They buy our politicians, whether it be through APAC or other such things. The bankers make out like bandits. First off, who's at the head of the military-industrial complex? BlackRock? Vanguard? Who owns that? Oh, let's look at the ownership. Let's look at it. Oh, wait, that'd be anti-Semitic. Right. Meanwhile, the Palestinians are Semitic. They even control our language. You're not even Semites. You come from Eastern Europe. You speak Yiddish. You don't have any tie to that land. That's why the DNA tests in Israel, they don't even allow them. Because it will prove they don't even come from this region. And yet we're playing this game, this Orwellian doublespeak nonsense. The bankers love war. And it's close to my heart because I'm a Marine who's been in combat. I was ready to kill 22 American service members a day committing suicide since the invasion of Iraq. Why is that? You don't go off and fight a noble war and then come, even if you killed women and children, because war is ugly and that's happening, guaranteed. But if you unintentionally witness such things, but weren't ordered or put into a situation, if you go in and kill women and children and become so mad that you do this, when you come home, the reality, the PTSD becomes so traumatic that you just end up offing yourself.
Yeah, I agree.
22 a day. I burned my U.S. passport in Baghdad, by the way, 20 years ago, charging the United States with crimes against humanity and genocide, literally in Baghdad, under the occupation. This is how strongly I feel about it. So the bankers make out like bandits, and anyone who suggests that it isn't the bankers who rule the earth, whatever, I'll debate them. They're the ones running this. The politicians are puppets. And the last politician in America, who I've said over and over, who actually did what was in the interest of the American people, we all know him, JFK. And where'd he end up? And let's look at Gaddafi, and then we can name that other guy in Germany. The bottom line is the ones who stood up to the bankers become enemy number one. And you know, like as Patrick Henry said, a genuine American patriot, give me liberty or give me death.
And every country is really run by the military. It's not run by these guys. They're being told what to do, how to do it, how to play. Our biggest freedom is taken away from us. Democracy, a right to vote. How come we're still using a pen and pencil? When we've got all of this technology, everything going round, Labour would never have won those votes. No chance in the month of Sundays. People got scared and all this scaremongering, oh, don't vote for Conservative, vote for Reform. They're the ones. We can get illegal immigration out, no worries. You know, like sheep. And I say to the public, get up, stand up, be the man, like you said. Be a man. Don't send your kid to a war. Fix the problems here. Our country's a mess. We're supposed to be the 5th largest economy in the world, are we? Are we the 5th
7 trillion
largest?
pounds in debt. I know that much. Who
Maybe
do we owe that to?
In trillions, we are the 5th largest.
There's no way to even pay it back. America's $34 trillion in debt. Who do we owe that to?
But suddenly, £1 billion comes out, £3 billion comes out, £5 billion comes out.
How much for Ukraine? I just was in Maui when these wildfires happened in the most precious real estate in Maui, Lahaina.
That was sad.
And they used directed energy. 1,000 kids have gone missing. And what they gave them, what was it? $107 or something each, right? The victims. Meanwhile, there was billions being sent to Ukraine.
Right.
So who do they work for? Are those our representatives?
We need to find out. We really need to know who our world is being run by, because it's like,
I know.
Well, I mean, look, we all know in this room, we know, but the general public, bless them, they don't know. And they need, when they vote for that person, they got the right to ask questions, not be shut up. You know, why do you think writers went out on the streets for what? I think they're lashing out not just because of illegal immigration. They're lashing out because they're fed up of what's been happening in our country for many, many years.
Which, of course, plays right into the hands of the social engineers who want the anarchy to justify martial law and the curtailment of all civil liberties. So, you know, this is why I keep saying, like, don't be a chump. Don't play into that. All right, listen, you can be upset with immigration, as you should be. Illegal immigration, when people are getting benefits and you're geriatric people who've worked their whole lives are choosing between heating or food in the winter. This has been a reality a long time. It's shameful and you should be angry, but don't be a chump and don't be played like a pawn in a game. It's ridiculous, you know?
I mean, have you heard today about the winter?
Yes.
About the average, I think there's more, 5 to 20,000 people die in the winter, no food, no heating. They don't even get food, let alone forget that.
We don't hear that in the news, do we?
No, you don't hear it. But it's.
They're just scrappy.
But Labour said they weren't going to do any taxes. Well, okay, they want to tax the rich. I understand. Get rid of the London bloody mayor. Get rid of the London mayor, right? And half your problems in London will be broken, finished, because people are just taking liberties on their powerful status, and that's the problem. Keir Starmer brought in these laws. Overnight, the police have got more powers than you can imagine now. Before, they couldn't even touch you.
You convince me. I'm actually on bail right now for hate speech and support for a prescribed organization. I only just got my passport back in the last couple of days. And they just, Richard Medhurst, who's been doing some really good reporting about the situation, they just arrested him under the very same thing. So, you know, we're the canaries in the coal mine here. And the only reason why I'm not in prison, quite frankly, is I'm not Muslim. I'm a white dude from California who's been a Marine, and I've spoken articulately. I've never called for violence. I've always called for lawful, peaceful remedy. So they got a little bit of a problem with me. Plus, I've never been silly enough to call for retribution or anything like that.
You just
But
speak the
Muslims,
truth.
how many Muslims do we need to be in prison? About Guantanamo and the years spent and the tortures that they endured. And by the way, being blamed for 9/11 when it was the Jewish Mossad operation. Literally. There's still a lot of people mind controlled believing that Muslims did it. You're idiots, all of you. And I'll debate any one of you. I will crush you. It was a Jewish Mossad by way of deception. Thou shalt do war operation. And look at these wars we fought. The 22 American service members a day committing suicide. Millions of orphans, millions of refugees. All of this feeding into the multicultural immigration, pit us all against each other.
Yeah.
This is why we as human beings, the Goyim, we really need to come together.
Yeah.
In every way we can, wherever there's reason and rhyme, we can come together. We must do this. The
We have
divide
to.
between Christianity and Islam,
Yes.
they're trying to drive a wedge. They're twisting Islam. They're twisting Christianity.
Absolutely.
What is a real Christian? What is a real Muslim? And you will answer to God if you're real anyway, by the way.
Okay,
Good luck with
Can you
that.
explain to me what is a Goyim?
Goyim, man, the unchosen ones, the Gentiles, these people, if you can even call them that, if they do have a religion, let's look at the Talmud. Even the Torah we can look at. Certainly the Talmud. There are dictates from their holy rabbi. Listen, this is a fact, as offensive as this is. Rabbis circumcise 8-year-old Jewish babies, and literally the rabbi with herpes, and this is documented over and over, goes down and literally sucks the you-know-what that was just mutilated, hand over herpes to the baby, and babies die. That's not me. That's all fact. Now, if a Muslim did that or a Christian did that, would we have any confusion? Well, there's what kind of spiritual practice would allow for the mutilation and then literal porn, sexual violation of a child? This is not my opinion. Now, that's the writing on the wall. We, at our own peril, ignore the writing on the wall. Right now in Israel, they are rioting to defend the prisoners that were arrested, which is really to try and negate the whole ICC thing. Literally rioting to pull out the dudes who have literally stuck red hot metal rods up the rectums of prisoners who have died in the process. This is not an opinion. This is fact. Meanwhile, our politicians are backing the Jewish state of Israel to this day, which begs the question, are you stupid? Are you immoral? Are you bought and paid for? Were you on the Lolita Express? Have you raped a child? Because I don't know how anybody in their right mind could defend a nation that is literally having debates about whether or not they can sodomize prisoners and rape and kill.
Yes, I saw that. There was a program whereby they had a poll. And in fact, the majority of people said that they have the Israeli soldiers have a right.
That's Goyim. See, we're the Goyim. They have a right in their chosen, to answer your question. We, the Goyim, Muslim, Christian, Hindu, Sikh, whatever. You're all Goyim if your mother wasn't a Jew, according to their religion. And in their Jewish, ethno-racist apartheid state, they genuinely believe this. These people, if they're even human, I believe their deity. I don't believe it. I know. This is where we get into ritual satanic sacrifice. These people do have a deity. And if you believe in Christianity or God and the angel, Satan, and so on and so forth, makes perfect sense. God bestowed upon us this beautiful, beautiful planet. We have abundance. If we manage this place properly, everyone would have a home. Everyone would have food. Everyone would have a dignified life. We have it within us. God gave us this. But Satan hates everything. So we have transgender, gay. We're going to have carnival this weekend. That's just going to be one big display of debauchery, literally, in the biggest carnival and parade deal in all of Europe. Satan is having a laugh while God weeps. I want to make God smile, by the way. I have a beautiful relationship with God, and I want to make him smile. I really do.
Yes, we love
God. And I think I spoke to Shyam before about this. I said to him, we need to concentrate on our similarities rather than our differences.
Yes.
A lot of people don't understand.
That means integration.
A lot of people don't understand that Muslims and Christians, there's only probably about 10% difference in their beliefs, because we agree upon most practically everything from Adam till Jesus. It's the same.
Look,
same prophets, same everything. It's only when Jesus comes along that there was a difference in opinion. And that's when the Jews, of course, don't recognize him as any form of prophet or anything, Messiah. The Christians say that, the original Christianity, and there's a school of Arius, they were very different to what the current Christianity believes in, the Trinity and so on. Whereas Muslims say that, yes, Jesus was a very revered prophet, probably just in terms of ranking, probably just before Prophet Muhammad. That's how important he is and how much revered he is. So I always say, I think people should concentrate on the similarities and not.
I think
in a better world, we'll have a sensible conversation. Excuse me, sensible conversation. If you understand that there is a God and that He is the judge, and there are certain things that are crimes, and we can agree on that, we can argue the details.
Yes.
Another time. We've got a common threat here.
Absolutely.
Why would we chumps and be pitted against each other and play right into our enemy's hands?
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, I want to say to the public, I really do, that please, let's all integrate back. Doesn't matter what religions we are, where we're from, who we are, as long as we can protect our families, our children, and our world. More importantly, we're destroying every single day a little piece of it.
Yes.
And we're not going to survive this, no matter how much talking and yapping people do.
If I may, just quickly, because I do have a duty. There's a film, Europa, thelastbattle.net, and it literally is about the birth rates of white people. We are actually dying out. Ireland right now has an immigration problem that literally, if we integrated just open borders, that's part of their agenda. We should be supporting each other. But if we become so multicultural, you know what the logical result of that is? We lose our culture.
Yes.
This is who is the least multicultural people in the world? Who? The Jews. Absolutely. 100%. The least. Indisputably so. I mean, we can make arguments about some other groups, but let's put it this way. The families in Israel are not encouraging do they allow anybody but a Jew to even have citizenship? No. Do they allow black Jews from Ethiopia to be? No. They are the least multicultural, but they're the ones encouraging us. What happens is, and this is part of where history needs to be understood, if you become so mixed, you will lose your culture. And that is a death knell. If Ireland became so multicultural, what's Ireland then? What is this country actually? We used to be a Christian nation, but in World War II, the Christian England nation, the Christian American nation allied with Stalin and communism, where the first thing they did was exterminate the Christians and no private property, no God. And the first law of the Soviet Union was anti-Semitism punishable by death. How the hell is a Christian nation that calls itself Christian aligning with communism directly to fight this supposed enemy called Germany? Literally. But if you don't know history, you'll just have all these hot button topics pressed. Yes, I said that. Because truth is God and God is truth.
That's right. And in terms of Christianity and how a nation regards itself as Christian, the latest poll, in fact, of this country revealed for the first time that less than 50% of the people regard themselves as Christian. That's not because...
What are they?
Yeah, but that's not because of a huge influx, because a huge influx of people of ethnic, origin people is less than 10%. So in reality, it's got to do more with, we have to ask yourself, why are the churches empty?
Yeah, I mean,
why
I was just going to ask that question. Why are people not going to church?
Yeah, why not going to church?
A lot of corruption, in fairness, like a lot of hypocrisy, a lot of corruption. I think people make a big mistake when they confuse the church with God and spirituality. You can, like, even with Muslims, you can pray 5 times a day and do your Hajj and whatnot. But God is not going to judge you on your prayers and your Hajj. He's going to judge you on your actions and your deeds.
Absolutely. That is actually ingrained in the Quran. It says that. Don't just because you're doing a prayer, don't think that you're going to be, a good person. You have to actually demonstrate it. You have to actually exhibit it. So that's very true.
Actions, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what women say, don't they? I need to see actions from you.
And I'm a Catholic-born son, so I never was so foolish as to reject God. But I saw the hypocrisy of Catholicism, the cardinals and bishops being covered when they're raping choir boys. Ireland knows this all too well. The amount of boys and others that were raped by so-called representatives. how could you not resent? But I was never so confused to confuse Catholicism or the church, the Roman Catholic Church, with God.
Yeah.
Thank God for that I wasn't so angry with this hypocrisy. But this is part of, they want to secularize us because they disconnect you from source.
Yeah.
And then they disconnect you so you don't have
And
any
then you know where to
cohesive
go.
cultural values to hold.
Yeah.
They make you weak, easily manipulated. But that's part of why I'm fearless, man. I mean,
Yes.
that's my master up there, man. I don't care what you do to me in this life. You cannot control such a man or woman. So they want us secular, and that's why they've corrupted the church. And they, even the mosques here, let's be honest. How many of the sheikhs and the imams are genuinely speaking out and really doing productive? Really, it's sad.
Yes, that's right. I mean, a lot of those imams, you probably find that they've come from abroad, and when they come from abroad, they become a bit meek. They don't really because they know if they say anything out of line, they'll be
don't rock the boat.
Yeah. Unfortunately, shouldn't be like that. But that's what happens. Yeah. So I mean, so Ken, I mean, in terms of the future, how do you foresee? I mean, literally, we've got minutes left. This time has gone by so quickly. I mean, we've got to have you back on, Ken. But for now, just to summarize your future vision of the world and how you feel that.
I can do it quick. I mean, we're on the verge. We are in World War III right now. We literally are. When the history books are written, if we aren't one big burnt sacrifice, Holocaust, nuclear Armageddon, we will see that we were in World War III, that the writing was on the wall. We see this shift from west to east. This is undeniable. Our currencies are going through what's called Weimar Germany, but Weimar Europe now, Weimar UK, Weimar US. The inflation is going to continue to go up. The money value is going to continue to go down. The divide between rich and poor is going to continue to go wider. And the laws that would allow for freedom of expression, as Rowan Atkinson just talked about quite beautifully, all of that is going to go by the wayside, or we're on the cusp of what some would call the age of Aquarius or a new time. But we are in a most dangerous time now. And I would really encourage people, it could go either way. It really could. I encourage people to pray, to find God, not to confuse religion or organized church with God and spirit. We do have an eternal soul. This thing is more precious than this. This is good. Take care of it. But this is the most precious thing, and this is eternal. We really should find God. We should also understand one thing. I never really liked democracy anyway, and the founding fathers always said it was whatever, rubbish. It's a disaster. It's ruled by mob. It's not the majority that make the difference. Make no mistake. Throughout history, it's always been the strong and very minority that was the one that was able, even if we look at the Jews themselves, 0.02% of the human population. They're using the money primarily in usury. One last note on that. In Islam and in Christianity, usury is haram. It's not acceptable.
Yes.
We should be calling all of our leaders to account. Enough now. No more. No more.
Great. Well, thank you for that, Kenneth. And how would you finish off, Shyam? What's your?
Well, I agree with Ken. I mean, I think we're not actually in the war yet, but we're heading that way. And there's nothing stopping us yet because wars are still continuing. I think I'm predicting that there will be a sea war, the biggest sea war you've ever seen in your life, which is going to cause everybody a lot of hardship with foods being transported and stuff. It's not going to work. So we're going to be heading into a third world war if these so-called organizers of countries, I don't want to call them prime ministers and presidents, they don't deserve it because they're not unifying our public in their countries. And the more they carry on, the quicker this war is going to come. And we can't deal with another war. First World War, Second World War, Third World War, going to be nuclear, going to be nasty, going to be all types of stuff. I think the aliens are laughing at us. They're rubbing their hands and saying, God, look at these guys. They're nuts. I mean, what happens when they come, if aliens do come to our world, what are we going to do? Is everyone going to keep fighting with each other about religion and land and everything else? They're going to take your soul away.
Right. Yeah.
We're going to lose our world.
We need another version of War of the Worlds.
I say to the public, like he said, same thing. Let's unite. Let's be stronger because we are the minority anyway. The bigger we are still a minority in front of governments. We put them in place and they take away our reins. We are loose horses. We don't know where to go. Where do we go now? Who's our leader? What do we do? Let's do this. Let's do a riot. Let's do that. No. Let's get our people, if they're in power, we have to educate them, or we have to come together as a group and say, no, you're not doing no more war. You're not spending our money in Ukraine, in Yugoslavia, in China. You're working here with us. This is our country. That's why we're being segregated and smashed.
Yeah.
Because they're derailing us, so they know that we're not going to have a say, and they do what they want. Oh, because we have a majority in parliament.
Right.
I will say this, Israel's done. Mark my words. The only question is, will the Samson option occur? Israel is done. Demographically, there's already an exodus of the Jews because they're now doing mandatory service for everyone, including the Orthodox Jews who've been given a pass.
Yeah.
The money and the funding is being cut off. Colombia just cut off fuel. They're not going to have electricity. God bless the good people within these nations that are actually doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Mark my words. Demographically, Israel is done. They're over. Palestine will be free if we survive this World War III agenda. It'll be one state, equal, everyone under the law. It's coming. Mark my words. Henry Kissinger was right, as was the CIA, who said Israel would be done within so many years. It's coming.
I mean, everything Nostradamus has predicted is.
Well,
pretty much bang
on that note, I'm afraid I've got to say
Oh,
we come to
so
the end of our
quick.
time.
I didn't even get my say.
I must point out that on those pro-Palestine marches that I've been to as well, I did see a number of actually Jewish people raising their voices.
Look, there's good and bad in everyone.
Yeah, good and bad everyone. And I think we should do the right thing basically. And I have to give credit to a lot of our fellow Jewish people who joined those marches.
Yes, no,
I'd like to see them renounce their Jewish right of return. I really would. I renounced my U.S. citizenship, and I put that forward to the Jewish people. They have a right to go to Israel, whether they're good or not. Renounce that right. Say, I reject this whole idea of a Jewish national state. I reject the idea of getting a benefit that the Palestinians do not have. For the same reasons I renounce my U.S. citizenship, I would encourage the quote good Jews to do that too.
I've got a lot of Jewish friends as well, and Palestinian friends. Right. But the ones that are here, they are really vilified by what's happening. It can't happen to humanity. Forget being a Jew or Palestinian or whatever. They're killing women and children. That's against any rights.
Absolutely.
Full stop.
Absolutely.
But can I just say my Shyam Batra for Mayor.London?
Right. Yeah. Well, you've
if people want to get in touch with me, my name is Shyam Batra for Mayor on Instagram and all the other likes of things. If you guys have got questions, any information, any way we can help, maybe you can follow us. Please follow me and Ken. Ken will give you.
I'm going to run for president, so there you go.
I'm going to run for Prime Minister in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you both. Thank you very much.
Thank
Kenneth.
you.
I really appreciate your time and Shyam. And
Thank you very much.
That's all for today, and hope to see you back here next Friday. Have a good evening. Thank you.